really hasn't been determined that she isn't in the lake, and it's just one step further to make sure that she isn't, I guess.
Pictures of Leanna are still posted everywhere, and the search to find her will once again come here to Long Year Lake. It's a place her family often came to play and ride their bikes.
I think it's good to go to the next step for the Warner's sake.
Authorities plan to lower the water level on the south side of the lake by 4 feet. Engineer Marty Halverson expects it will take 7 to 10 days.
By lowering it 4 feet, probably about 1/3 of the lake will dry up.
Okay.
So it'll be exposed so they can conduct their search.
In the first days of the search for Leanna, bloodhounds first detected her scent right in this area. And authorities say this is the spot where they'll start their search again.
It originally was one of the first areas that was searched, and it's still a question mark.
I think they're bringing the dogs in, and I suppose they'll have some divers, and they may have either airplane or helicopter to help them.
It's a major undertaking, all working toward one goal.
That's what everybody's looking for, is closure, to find out what actually happened, and if this resolves it, well, that's a good thing then. If it doesn't, well, at least we tried.
In Chisholm, Stacy Eckes, News 6.
I am convinced that for a 4-week regional draw, Duluth would be a spectacular location for us. I'm concerned about the operational component. There's a lot of work that would have to be done around the athletic fields to make it work.
Comedy unique.
I'm really electric. I guess the word you could say. I'm jumpy. I'm really loud.
Billy Stafford seems to know himself pretty well.
I've got a big, bold, deep voice, and I'm really loud. And I like to show. I like to be bright, and I like to, just energy. I'm real energetic out there.
This Proctor teenager also seems to know a thing or two about the world around him.
Theme. Well, my theme is stupid people. There's a lot of stupid in this country, and I'm one of them.
Billy got his start on public television, where he hosts a talk show.
We run music videos. We talk about funny laws, funny news.
Beer and pretzels cannot be served at the same time in any bar or restaurant. In Washington, all lollipops are banned. I don't know where, but they're banned.
Stuff that's happened, or stuff that happened in, just lately,
And they get some well-known guests, too.
What do you plan to do after elections, win or lose?
Well, I plan on winning.
Huh.
Okay.
And as most people who run for mayor do, as most people do.
Billy's first big act comes this Saturday evening, when Northlanders get the last laugh at the final show at the North Shore.
And that's one of my cracks right there about old people.
Billy went to KDAL with another performer, Crazy Ray from KRBR, to promote the show.
What do you consider old?
What do I consider old? I consider old, how old are you, Ray?
You might think a joker like Billy would rather crack a joke than hit the books.
So you're kind of are you the class comedian?
No, not at all. I get a lot of good grades in school. It's really...
You get A's and B's?
A's and B's, yeah, that's about it, yeah. A's and B's.
So between the good grades, the stand-up act, and the talk show, oh, and he's into sports, too.
I play football, basketball, baseball.
He could get caught up worrying about what's going to happen next.
And I'm just living my life one step at a time, and, I'm really not worried about Saturday. I'm worried about putting my feet on the ground tomorrow morning.
Not a bad philosophy for a kid who's just over a decade old.
I hope that it doesn't become too huge where, you know, people are busting in my school trying to, you know, get pictures of me, and hopefully that won't happen. Most likely it won't, but, you know, you never know.
In Proctor, Nick Saccone, News 6.
Well, I'm looking for people to laugh, you know, I'm not looking for people to throw apples at me. So, you know, what the heck, I'm waiting for, you know, laughs, that's pretty much it.
The goal is to lower the south side of the lake 4 feet, so that'll enable the police and the sheriffs to search the lake bottom. And I believe their primary area of interest is along this shoreline.
We see this as something that will help further strengthen the downtown area, and we're looking at it as a real proactive approach.
We wanted to run this debate in prime time because we feel that this is a very important political moment for the city of Duluth. The next mayor is going to have a lot of challenges before them, and the decision of the voters of Duluth is a very important one. And not only for the city, but also for this entire region. And we felt it was appropriate to put a debate of this type on during prime time to give it the largest possible audience.
Soundbite, that's all we need. Great. Oh man, I'm not looking forward to the soccer game. Because like the other side of the garage.
It just shows how ingrained illegal narcotics are in the community. It doesn't necessarily say bad things for professors, it doesn't say bad things for anyone, just that that person decided that they are going to get addicted.
I guarantee you, if
Basically, we've been walking through the culverts and pulling them through with a long cable that Heaving Taconite gave us to use.
What's your name? Leanna. What do you like to do? Play with sand.
She's energetic and curious, and her father says Leanna loved to ride her bike, especially along the shore of Long Year Lake. So it's here where the desperate search to find her will resume.
They're putting their heart and soul into this to get it going.
I think as we go along here, we're going to see a lot of interest from the community and seeing what's happening.
The goal is to lower the water level on the south side of the lake by 4 feet, or 80 million gallons. The latest plan of attack has 2 parts. First, crews are just beginning to install more than a half-mile of pipe that was donated by Hibbing Taconite.
Basically, we've been walking through the culverts and pulling them through with a long cable.
The pipeline will be used to siphon water from the lake to this nearby mine pit, moving up to 6,000 gallons of water per minute.
We've got 800 feet connected here in one culvert.
Part 2 comes here, where the north and south ends of the lake meet. On Friday, crews hope to install pumps and build a stop log or a dike to hold back the water.
We're planning on having 3 6-inch pumps on the causeway to pump across to the north side.
In all, it's expected to take more than a week to complete, a search that could bring closure to at least one part of this lengthy investigation.
So, and I enjoy what I do, so I'll never retire.
Kathy Heidi Rosidlo opened her first shop catering to women with mastectomies while in high school.
We have like 8 or 9 different styles. And then inside the T here, the fluff pad is Velcroed in place.
18 years later, Kathy's little shop has mushroomed into a national business. Today, she designs T-shirts, nightgowns, and swimwear for women who've lost their breasts to cancer. One of her most popular swimsuits was picked up by J.C. Penney.
Here's that same suit again. And now we printed it in pinks and purples. A younger style. Because cancer, as you know, affects everybody.
As exciting as it's been to be recognized for her talents, Kathy's greatest pleasure is to see how breast prosthetics have evolved.
When I first started out, a breast prosthesis was an inflatable little triangle plastic piece that you put in your bra, and it came with a straw, and you blew it up, and then you pinched it off.
Today, there are several options to reconstruction surgery, including silicone-based prostheses. The newest technology uses a casting process to create a custom-fitted prosthetic identical to the breast lost to disease.
They've gotten so good at this now that they can put veins coming in, they can color the areola and the nipple area. We can go all the way over to the end of the armpit.
If you have a doctor's prescription, most insurance companies will pay for a prosthetic. Many also cover post-surgical T-shirts and bras. For Kathy, finding the right solution for women recovering from breast cancer is her life's mission.
I like the people that I meet. I like helping out in a rough situation that they go through and trying to make them feel good about themselves again. I enjoy that.
Michelle Lee, News 6.
We're going to have 2 legs pulled out from the fall direction leg, and after we get everything prepared, final preparation, we're going to pull the 1 leg out, and it's going to scissor and hinge and allow the tank to go towards a westerly direction. I love that!
Actually, it sounds really good. I'm happy to hear it. I've got 27 years in with them,
it's good to go back. It really is.
Well, I talked to quite a few of the guys that are in school right now, and I've asked them, I said, are you planning on staying there? And they said, heck no. You know, they're ready to go back to work and do what they've done all their lives.
Oh, fantastic. Everybody's really happy. I think our Christmas season is going to be really good. That's going to put everybody in a good mood. People will start spending more. They pull back since last May, and needless to say, you would. I mean, you don't know if you're going to have a job.
All the contingent businesses, the grocery stores, the bars, retail, it's just thrilling news.
It's a good thing that we're going to start up and run. That's the only thing I can say. It's going to help the economy from Duluth on north.
I want you to follow with your eyes, don't move your head. Do you understand?
Allegedly impaired, Minnesota drivers are required to walk the line for police, but the state has refused to walk the federal line on blood alcohol limits.
The time has come, and the time should have come earlier for Minnesota to move to .08.
This afternoon, Governor Pawlenty rolled out the state breath alcohol testing Batmobile and threw his support behind lowering Minnesota's legal limit from .10 to .08, following the lead of 45 other states.
There's no question as far as scientific evidence that when you reach .08, whether you're big, small, young, old, whatever size you are, when you reach .08, you are impaired.
The governor wanted to emphasize that lowering the limit would also lower alcohol-related accidents.
They come in, they are seriously disabled, and they may never become productive citizens again.
Not to mention the 238 alcohol accident deaths last year. They estimate 14 lives will be saved by lowering the limit, but there's big money at stake.
And the federal government has a series of penalties that ramp up to 2007 and beyond in terms of certain highway funds being withheld if this standard isn't passed.
That's cost Minnesota more than $6 million so far, with 10 times that to be lost in the future, all of which is making the liquor industry swallow hard and back off.
I think we recognize that it's inevitable. Our support may be too much for us to ask.
It should be what the citizens want it to be. And a lot of people have different ideas, living water gardens, also a conservatory. There's several different mechanics to it. I'd like to also see an active marina there and enlarged.
I believe it should be held by the community. It shouldn't be held for private ownership or private profit. Some very, very light retail could be acceptable, but not riddled with a Coney Island atmosphere under any circumstances. A conservatory that works for the community, not just for tourists, but for local folks too.
And the winner.
What's the best thing about Halloween, do you think?
Because you get to have fun and see and dress up as things.
Ooh, that's cool. All right, the next.
Is this all we have? This is all the non-walkers? Put it in the walk card there. Of course, you can't spend it yet,
I was excited to see everything. When I saw the school and everything, it was exciting. And then when I got in here, my whole volleyball team was waiting outside for me, and that made me feel like I was missed. And it's amazing all the people I'm seeing here. It just feels good to be back.
We're a family place that I'm really proud of. The Y is not a private club. The Y is a purely public charity, and it's a family place.
Ready? And then I'm...
One more time. One more time.
No, we knew going into it that it was a long shot. You know, that lake was checked out thoroughly in the beginning, but you know, until you actually can take a look and cover that ground personally, you can't rule it out.
If we can save the people of Wisconsin enormous amounts of money, and if we can help open up the door for real competition for Wisconsin citizens to be able to get prescription drugs at a lower price, then it's something we've got to pursue.
Like a lot of teens, Holly Phillips' parents put her to work around the house every now and then. A lot of that work involves water. The water in Holly's hometown of Eveleth is under scrutiny these days after a few homes tested higher than normal for lead. That prompted the Phillips to buy a water filter, and it has its pros and cons.
It's really not that inconvenient. The filters are about $40 though, that's the thing, and they go pretty quickly, but that's the only inconvenience.
The City Works Department is aware of the problem. They say a filter is a great way to reduce the risk of lead in the water, but just plain running the tap for 30 seconds before using it for drinking or cooking works too.
And it's always a good practice to not use hot water for cooking or drinking purposes. If you need to heat water, you should use cold water and then heat it.
The city's water source is clean, so the lead problem comes from older pipes that slowly dissolve the metal into the water once it leaves the purification plant. The city uses a chemical in the water that coats pipes and cuts down on the leaching of lead.
We have upped our dosage on that product. We've also looked at our chemical feed equipment, and we've made some modifications to that.
Mike feels those modifications will eliminate the lead problem in just a couple of weeks.
Well, we hope to do some sampling toward the end of November, and we hope that we'll already start to see some improvements at that time.
That's good news to Eveleth residents like Holly.
Yeah. Now it's not in our showers or our cooking water. It's nice to know.
In Eveleth, Dave Anderson, News 6.
Everybody loved Rachel so much. She was a very great person. She was more than I could ever give to her.
18-year-old Rachel Cox was a young mother with 2 boys. Friends say her life wasn't easy. In fact, her boyfriend admits the two liked the drug ecstasy. It's a form of methamphetamine that comes in small pills and looks like candy. This weekend, the two were hanging out at this house in Lincoln Park. Each popped 2 pills of the drug. Just a few hours later, Rachel died.
She told me, "Jojo, I'm scared." And she said, "Help me." And then she fell into my arms.
Jill Rogers is now hoping to save others by warning them about the dangers of drugs.
It's not a game. It's not a joke. It's not for fun. You think you're having fun and everybody thinks it's cool. It is not cool, and you're gonna lose someone.
Ecstasy is a fairly new trend sweeping the nation. Sergeant Denon Bowers of the Lake Superior Drug Task Force says ecstasy is present in the Twin Ports, but they are working hard to keep it under control.
We certainly have gone out in the streets and bought ecstasy from various drug dealers, and we're pursuing those angles. And we have our fingers on the pulse, for instance, of the ecstasy crowd.
Ecstasy is popular with young adults and used at large parties or raves.
We know of raves that have happened in the past. There have been instances where we know there was going to be raves, more recent, and we've been able to put a stop to that.
It's a small pill that can have tragic consequences. It's a lesson Joe says he learned the hard way.
It's not safe and it kills people. It took my girlfriend away from me.
In Duluth, Stacy Eckes, News 6.
Divers from the area who were diving on Lake Superior and bringing up photographs and film footage of the wrecks on the bottom needed a place to for not only for other divers to see what they were doing, but also researchers and the general public. And so it started really as a diver's appreciation.
That's 4,400 people. I ain't got the resources, I ain't got the time to devote to do 4,400 applications. And not only that, there's a time requirement for each application that has to get completed within X number of days. I will never be able to get them done in the required time frame that they're giving us.
Nick got, not just me, but a large group I had. I mean, does that constitute information?
Right, right.
But it doesn't say anything. It's the county board to. Now, whether they decide to or not, you know, it's ultimate. People from Minnesota, as long as they've gone through the process.
And I'm going to recommend to the county that we opt out of it. Financially, we cannot afford it. Service-wise, I can't do it. I'm going to have to pull people away from jobs that they're already behind on.
Do you think that, I don't know what you felt out with the board or not, how does that process work? I mean, do they, we're obviously talking about the future.
Snowflakes swirled as residents of Drake Road watched one of their longtime neighbors move away. Rinda Oakland says her mother-in-law planted this big pine tree when she was just a child.
She thinks she brought her home from school, or else the county had, it was just a seedling. And she brought her home, and her dad and her planted that tree.
A few seconds work from a chainsaw and the neighborhood landmark was down. A check of the tree's rings show that Rinda's mother-in-law planted the seedling 61 years ago. The whole procedure created quite a spectacle.
Unique to see it sheared off of the trunk and dangling up in the air, and watching it go down onto the big trailer.
The tree is this year's City of Duluth Christmas tree. It'll spend the next few months at Minnesota Power headquarters. In fact, it was donated by Rinda's husband, who is a Minnesota Power employee.
So he caught a hold of the person, and then they came and decided whether or not if it was good enough to be the Christmas City of the North tree.
Folks in this part of the country usually don't like seeing trees cut down, but since this one has a special purpose, it seems to be all right with the neighbors.
You know, to me, I have mixed feelings about cutting trees, but sometimes there's a purpose for it, you know.
Cutting the big old tree actually served a couple of purposes. Of course, it's an honor to be selected as City Christmas tree, but the towering pine was just too close to the Oakland home.
We were afraid of it falling on the house. It was time to say goodbye.
Now it's time for the rest of us to say hello. You can find the tree at the intersection of Superior Street and Lake Avenue. The mayor will officially light it right before the Christmas City of the North parade. In Duluth, Dave Anderson, News 6.
The first 4 weeks, I have to say, were the toughest because I didn't see a lot of change, and I hadn't exercised in a very long time.
Yeah, but there's only so many exercises you can do, you know?
The first thing would be to consider seeing their physician, to consider getting a blood test done. Also, if they have high concerns or have an older home that may have leaded paint, contacting the local health department.
Dr. Patrick Sura says toddlers in particular love to get into everything, so parents should always pay extra attention.
Everyone that has or has been around children this age know that they put almost everything in their mouth anyway, and you have to watch them closely for that.
He says if you purchase Double Dippin' Fun Chalk at Target between March and July and feel that your child is at risk for lead poisoning, there are signs to look for. See if your child is unusually irritable, or if over time you notice that he or she exhibits developmental delays. Dr. Shura says because these signs are sometimes normal infant behaviors, he recommends talking to your physician about preventative screening.
We screen children at 12 and 24 months.
On the whole, they've been pretty good. Actually, they behave better than some of the parents have.
It's sounding all right. I mean, we've been working all this time without one, basically, so I'd go along with this.
Well, I think with all schools there's a certain level of harassment. There's bullying, there's different types of harassment. What we've seen so far is one end to the extremes. There's, minute to, an extreme situation, but they don't happen a lot.
It will mean that the steel companies will end this year with the greatest profits they've ever made in history.
In the early 1960s, John F. Kennedy made 2 stops in the Northland.
And they will be faced with the problem of continuing the strike in the winter.
His first visit came in 1960 while he was making his run for the White House. Kennedy sat down for a one-on-one interview with veteran Northland journalist Glenn Maxim.
It was kind of a phenomena to be speaking to this man, and at that time he hadn't even attained the presidency.
Glenn says from the moment the young candidate stepped off the plane, his charisma was apparent.
Shook hands with everybody, the kids, the adults, and so on.
And after winning the election, President Kennedy made a return trip to the Northland in 1963.
Stayed in the Hotel Duluth, and then went to dedicate some properties in the Apostle Islands as natural historic sites.
Former News 6 anchor Lou Martin remembers it was the president's wife who stole the spotlight.
I had a chance to talk to Jackie, and you couldn't take a bad picture of her.
It was only a few weeks after that visit, on November 22nd, that John F. Kennedy, the nation's 35th president, was killed in Dallas, Texas. Glenn recalls hearing the news for the first time.
People were shouting and some were crying.
But it was Lou who had to deliver the tragic news about the president's death before the Christmas City of the North parade.
We just have to tell them that the president was killed today, and certainly we couldn't have any parade. Some, couldn't believe it, some cried.
That was the first and only time the News 6 Christmas City of the North parade was canceled in the past 45 years, as a sign of respect and mourning for our nation's fallen leader.
Ask not what your country can do for you.
Edward Moody, News 6.
What you can do for your country.
Well, the snow and particularly the wind has picked up over here on the Wisconsin side. As you can see, we're on Highway 53 here behind me. There are no plows out on the highways. They stopped plowing at 3 o'clock, and that's because of budget cuts in Wisconsin. They'll start again at 4 a.m., so officials are telling folks in between those times, if you can, stay off the roads, and if you have to get out on the roads, you need to take it slow.
There's some drifting going on. It's pretty hard, pretty tough driving, pretty tough to see.
Reed Pearson spent Saturday in the woods for the Wisconsin gun deer opener.
It was beautiful yesterday till towards evening, and then it got kind of snowy.
After the snow and wind picked up, Reed came home, where he stayed for most of the day.
We came in to register a deer, otherwise we wouldn't have ventured out at all today.
Venturing out on these roads is more than an ocean. Slick streets have caused dozens of accidents, like this one, in which a car struck a Douglas County Sheriff's deputy Saturday night. Douglas County transportation officials say the later it gets, the less you should be traveling. That's because Wisconsin cut $85 million from its highway and maintenance budget, which means this winter plows will be out less frequently, particularly on weekends. But before the cuts, trucks could put in 14 hours or more during a weekend snowstorm, but now they can only do 8. However, the Douglas County Highway Patrol says safety is still the top priority, and the department will do the best it can. But officials say folks should pay closer attention out on Wisconsin roads, take it slow, or just stay in.
We're going home and we're not coming back out again. Yeah.
And again, those snow plows will be out on the routes at 4 a.m. They will start trying to plow routes, get it ready for folks trying to get into work or school. Now, at this point, we don't know if we're going to have school closings, but if we do, we'll certainly have all that latest information for you in the morning on News 6 Today. Stacy, back to you. Okay.
This is huge for FTAC. If they don't get a deal here, it may not get done, who knows. I'd hate to see it fall through, but this is huge.
Back in May, it seemed nobody wanted EVTAC. Now it's a tug of war between two companies. Only one will reopen the mine. The first offer came in October from Cleveland Cliffs and China-based Laiwu Steel. The joint venture has offered $500,000 to buy EVTAC. Laiwu would be 30% owner, but more critical, it would also serve as a key customer. They are promising pellet contracts through the year 2012. The second bid came just last week from a raw materials trading company called Gerald Metals. They offered $950,000 for the plant. The interesting part of the Gerald Metals plan is that 3 current managers at EVTAC would remain on the job to operate the mine and be part owners with Gerald Metals. This company also has intentions of seeking pellet contracts from China steel companies, but at news time, they had no secure contracts in place.
I don't know a lot about Gerald and Cliffs. My opinion hasn't been real high on them either, but if they're willing to take us on and guarantee that we'll have contracts to the year 2012, oh boy, it's great.
Buddy Campbell has 27 years in at EVTAC. He, like so many others, is hoping for the best, but want to see the deal sealed before they get too excited.
Until it's in writing, I wouldn't trust anyone.
Excited are you?
I am so excited. I just feel lifted up on eagle's wings.
We have a future at Evelyn Taconite again.
Yeah.
Different name, different company, much better future.
It's a new beginning for EVTAC. The mine will soon reopen and hundreds of good-paying jobs restored.
Number one, I want to say just how pleased we are to have to create the opportunity to bring people back to work.
When you've lost 2,000 jobs in just one industry, this development is a godsend.
It's all in part to an international partnership. China's high demand for iron ore will secure pellet contracts through 2012.
This is a new era for the Iron Range. We enter the international trade arena on the delivery end rather than on the receiving end.
Here's a case where it's the other way. We're actually sending U.S. product to China to make steel. So I think we're on the right side of the trade balance there, which is a historic moment.
Cleveland Cliffs and Laiwu Steel, now United Taconite, will pay $3 million for EVTAX assets, plus assume $40 million in environmental liabilities.
At Cliffs, we're very happy with this transaction. It's something that we've been working on for a number of months, and we've got blood, sweat, tears, and money into the deal.
It's a deal they promise will be most rewarding to steel workers, their families, and the Iron Range community.
The order is being signed, and the recall slips are going to be in the mail.
On the eve of Thanksgiving, something to be really and truly thankful for, and we'll have people working by Christmas. I know it's going to happen.
Can you talk about your role in this? You had a big role.
I have been involved in this process daily since early July, since right around the 4th of July, and all the
It was a little busy, but it went fine. I knew what I wanted, so I got right out.
Did you purposely wait till the last minute, or did
No.
How'd you end up waiting last minute?
Oh, I'm just busy working and with my family and everything.
The St. Louis Bay is starting to freeze over, and it looks calm from up here until you tilt your chin and get a face full of snow. While hunters dress in camouflage to blend in the woods, in order to fit in at the races, snowcross fans have to dress in neon green, neon orange, bright red, and blue. It's their way of showing allegiance to their favorite team.
We like Arctic Cats, don't we?
Arctic Cats.
Arctic Cats are good. Father-in-law, he likes Polaris, so it's always a battle in the household.
Speaking of family, that's what brings a lot of fans here.
My son Andrew Johnston, he races for Polaris.
Just something you grew up with, I guess.
Well, I've got a brother that races for Arctic Cat.
Just my wife and my son and myself.
And a couple nephews that race for Arctic Cat.
I guess it's just in our blood.
And we race Polaris.
And that's where the rivalry comes into play, no matter what some people might say.
I think they're all pretty well supportive of each other.
Try telling that to these two.
Well, Polaris is much better. There's no doubt about it.
Don't listen to her. Can't listen to her. No, the Arctic Cats are good.
Everybody's on fair ground. It isn't worth taunting anybody. You just tell them good luck, and that's all you can do.
Try telling that to this family. Remember the guy in camouflage?
It's a battle the whole time.
Like what?
Well, he rides the Polar Pig.
That's Polaris to you and me.
And we all got ditch pickles.
That's Arctic Cat, in case you're having trouble following.
So it's just one of them things.
So I guess it's just one of them things with these two as well.
The only thing I have to say, she wanted to go out with me in high school, but I wouldn't let her.
I didn't want to.
Tommy Houseman.
And what you're wearing, sometimes doesn't matter as much as at the end of the day, you get together and you're having a good time.
Reporting from the battlegrounds on Spirit Mountain, I'm Nick Saccone, News 6.
I think people just really know that there's a spiritual connection with their animals and the care that they give, and they feel blessed. And to kind of formally recognize that spiritual connection we share with all creation, I think is important to people.
We're just trying to make sure we cover every area, and so we don't have to go back again. You know, we just want to make sure that she's not under our nose here.
I'm really not able to comment on the specifics other than to say that we do have probable cause that he was in Grand Forks at that time and that he was in the parking lot.
Rodriguez was arrested Tuesday at his mother's house in Crookston, Minnesota, only 30 miles from where Drew Shodine was last seen.
With the arrest of Alfonso Rodriguez Jr. last night, this investigation has only reached the 50-yard line.
His history includes sexual contact and attempted kidnapping of adult females. His crimes involved rape and use of force with a weapon. He was released from prison in May after serving 23 years. It's unknown if Rodriguez is cooperating with authorities or if he knows of Drew's whereabouts, but the search effort does continue, and authorities are urging property owners to search their land for any sign of Drew.
Honey, we're still looking for you. We know you're there, and our strength is drawn off of you.
Royal Day, News 6.
Drawn off of you.
Royal Day, News 6.
Once so huge and daunting that Governor Pawlenty described it as the Tyrannosaurus Rex of budget deficits, Minnesota's money managers announced today that budget cuts, accounting shifts, and a recovering economy have tamed that T-Rex into a passive kitten.
You know, we went from a 15% problem to a 0.6% problem. The economy is doing better. We can deal with this.
Here's how it shakes out in real numbers. In 2003, Minnesota was a startling $4.3 billion in the hole. In fiscal years 04 and 05, the deficit adds up to a mere $185 million. But DFL leaders are unimpressed. They point to the state's lagging recovery, the slowest ever experienced after a recession, the thousands of manufacturing jobs that aren't coming back, and Republicans' habit of leaving out inflation when they crunch the numbers.
If you add a mere 2% level of inflation for the remainder of this biennium and the next biennium, you have a budget deficit of over $1 billion.
And yet the DFL concedes there is little they can do now to change the Republican course. Instead, says Mindy Greiling, they must change the players.
We've got to work on the next election, and Minnesotans have to rise up and protest.
Senator Hottinger, how about the likelihood of restoration of some of the cuts in light of
really appreciate your vision for bringing the tree back. For many years, a lot of us have been said we need to have that tree back on the Salvation Army lot. So those in the downtown and throughout the community, I think, are really appreciative.
$150, now $55. All in, all done. Sold $150 to number 12. On the blanket, start me off at $50 for it. 125. Now 15. Now
It's Christmas and there's a lot of families that are needy, and we just feel like that this is a good way to help needy families. We're just glad we're on the giving end instead of the receiving.
There are certain statutes, if he had violated them, would have prohibited him from getting a permit to carry. He had not violated any statute like that. The problems he had were quite a ways back, and I just don't think that he should have been denied. I can't see that he's a danger to himself or anybody else.
Julie, what a pleasure to meet you. Our humane education program so that we can go into the schools and into the community and educate people on the care of the animals that come out of our adoption program and how to prevent overpopulation, which has been a huge, huge issue this year.
Just like mine.
This year is important because of the lack of funding that has been supporting the various charities groups, especially the Kiwanis groups and other groups. So when people show up for this, we know that they are supporting us.
2 years ago, I volunteered to be a part of a phone bank that talked to thousands of Duluth voters about the ordinance. We knew what we were voting for. Please don't insult our intelligence by suggesting that we didn't.
Even without a medical background, if you were to spend a day with me and see the patients that I see and make rounds with me, there'd be no doubt in your mind that the association of the diseases that I see and the coincidence of smoking were more than just happenstance. No one told me when I started my practice of medicine that so much of my time would be spent dealing with the consequence of diseases related to tobacco.
Two years ago, I volunteered to be a part of a phone bank that talked to thousands of Duluth voters about the ordinance. We knew what we were voting for. Please don't insult our intelligence by suggesting that we didn't.
Okay, great. Oh, I'm honored. Thank you.